What's up, my dudes? Hey, Spence, go make another Erode rant. Go complain about Erode some more, dude. Erode is over, dogs. Development on Erode is over. So, let me explain this whole thing right here, okay? This is a post on the forums from JLV, the creator of the game, the sole developer of MX Simulator, okay? And he comes in here and tells you how the game was not made for Erode at all. Literally not even made for it whatsoever. The engine of the game was not made for Erode. Literally, that's what he says. So let me just read off what he says. Let me get through this so it makes sense, okay? He says, all I'm going to do is optimize what's there now. The develop/test cycle for Erode is nightmarish and the demands are almost impossible. Oh, what has Spence been saying for the past 2 years? But nobody wants to, listen to me. Nobody wants to really take into account when I say it. I've literally said all this years ago, years in advance. But now that JLV, the creator of the game, is coming out here and telling you these things, the game's not made for it. It was never made for it. It's never going to be made for it. It was a game from 2007 made by one guy. You can't just all of a sudden freaking whop like an amazing terrain deformation system into that game engine, dog. You can't do that. Like, it doesn't work like that. But no, I'm just the Erode hater. Oh my God, I don't like Erode. Oh my God, I can't take Erode. I can't ride in it. It's just, oh my God, that's why I hate it. It's just the best thing that's ever happened to MX Simulator. Yeah, all right, dog. So he goes on to say, it's like you wrote a cloud simulator and someone says, make it create clouds that look like Mickey Mouse. Okay, so you got to understand what he's saying there. It's literally like you're trying to make something that the engine can't even make. The engine is not even developed enough to even make. This is what I've been saying from the very beginning. That's why the Erode in the game on MX Simulator feels so janky. That's why it feels so like you're digging straight down into concrete. It's nothing like a MX versus ATV reflex terrain deformation system where you have cushion to the dirt and all that kind of stuff. And MX Simulator used to not even make ruts in a straight line at all with the terrain deformation. It used to only do it when you were turning in the corner. That was it. That's how it was for the first 10 years of the life cycle of the game. And not only that, but nobody even used the terrain deformation system. You couldn't use it in multiplayer. Nobody built tracks around it. I'm shocked that this has even became a thing. Like, I really am. So let me move on here. He says, I spent a huge amount of time trying to force it to make ruts, cut through jump tops. The problem is, when the front wheel leaves the jump, it unloads the back wheel. So you're working against the laws of physics. Do they cut through in real life? Well, definitely not all the time. Okay? Reminding you, this is from the creator of the game, okay? This is not just some Spence Erode hater kid, dude. So he goes on to say, so basically what I'm doing is trying to selectively break the rules to achieve certain effects that aren't even necessarily realistic. As you do this, it breaks other things that were okay before. It's a fool's errand. I'd rather work on stuff I can actually make progress on. Let me remind you, this is the creator of the game saying this. You idiots. When are you going to realize? My God. Listen, I'm not a hater of terrain deformation. I love terrain deformation and reflex. I love the way it is in that game. You gotta understand, I'm not hating the idea of a terrain deformation in MX Simulator. Obviously, in a perfect world, I would love to have a perfect terrain deformation system. You have to understand, you're literally taking a game from 2007 made by one guy and trying to make this just impossible advanced system into the game, and it's never going to work. Hence me telling you, you might as well just put this into an MX Simulator 2. You're never going to be able to develop it to the point that you want to develop it. And now JLV himself is saying this. This is the thing I've never understood, RF. why are you trying to push something so hard that the developer of the game is not even trying to push? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand it. It's like, don't you think over all this time, all these 10 years before they started doing Erode, MX Simulator came out in 2007, all the way 2007 to 2017. Don't you think if the developer of the game thought that this was really good for the game, thought that he could actually develop it, thought that he could take it somewhere, thought that he could make something cool out of it and make it work in the game and, optimize it for the game, don't you think he would have already done that in the first 10 years of having the game out? Don't you just think, let's just think for a second. Like, JLV himself doesn't even want to do this. He doesn't even want to jack with the Erode in the game because he knows the game. He knows deep down you're never going to be able to get it like what you're seeing in this picture right here. You're never going to be able to get it cushioned to the dirt with Erode, with multiple lines, cutting up jump faces properly. You're never, roughness on the motocross tracks. You're never going to be able to do it. This is what I've been telling you people this whole time. You don't want to accept that I've been right this whole time. Some of you dudes just can't take that. Let's just keep it real right now. You don't want to admit I've been right about this whole entire time. I mean, what else is there to say? Let me zoom in on this. Let me just zoom in just a little more here. The creator of the game, the sole developer of MX Simulator says, and I quote, "I'd rather work on stuff I can actually make progress on." Like, hello, people, wake up. Oh my God. Like, he's literally talking about how it's starting to break other things just trying to fix the Erode in the game and trying to optimize the Erode in the game. It's breaking and hurting so many other elements. It ain't even remotely worth it. It ain't even close to being worth it. It's a fool's errand, he says. What have I been saying this whole time? The game's not made for it. The ruts are not realistic at all. You're never going to be able to develop it to the point that you want to, or you're going to have to completely make a whole new engine, and JLV's never going to do that on this game. So it's either you're going to have a whole new engine or you're going to have an MX Simulator 2 before you ever get a real terrain deformation system in MX Simulator. So what the hell is the point? Like, what is the point in even running it, dog? I feel like the real problem here is a lot of you guys are getting caught up on this, what you think Erode could do for the game, or what you think Erode could potentially be in the game. But in the process, you're completely losing sight of what Erode actually is in the game. And everything around Erode in the game. And all the limitations around Erode in the game. It's like you're so caught up in what you want it to be that you don't realize what it actually is. That's happened to so many of you dudes, I can't even explain it. Like, and not only that, but you've completely forgot how good the game was before Erode too. That also happens. You get so caught up in this Erode world that you forget how good all these tracks were before that ever even came around. And to all of you, I like to call you Erode babies, all of you dudes that didn't get into the game until after they started doing Erode, I don't want to hear a peep out of you because you don't know what you're talking about. You have no clue what you're talking about. If you weren't full-blown pro racing before they started doing Erode, like 17 and back, if you've never ran full-blown RF pro races from 2017 back, I don't even want to hear your opinion. Because you don't even know what it was like. You don't even understand it. And it cracks me up because there's so many people like that in this game now that they can hop in there on some, flat track 2019 RF national track and they think that's the whole game. And then you put them on an actual real track, a 17 track with real roughness, real braking bumps, real ruts, put them on a 17 supercross track with real jump rhythms, real berms, and they can't even get around the track. It's like they can't even function, dog. It's like you do realize you boys have been riding on tracks that are they're not even really tracks. Like all of this smooth berm, small jump, no rut, smoothed out highway, flat tracking crap we've been doing for the past 2 years, that's not even real MX Simulator tracks, man. Like, that's what's so frustrating about it. These dudes, they look at it like how the track is after running 20 laps on it with 40 people on the gate. That's how they look at it. They don't look at it how it plays in single player. They don't look at it how the track is when you get in there with 4 or 5 dudes. They don't look at any of that because the tracks are completely terrible. They're trash. They're pointless. They're boring. Without literally 40 dudes on the gate and running the perfect amount of a road level in the perfect amount of laps. That's the only way you get even remotely somewhat of an enjoyable experience out of the past 2 years of this game. Single player sucks. The random online servers are literally just absolutely abandoned. Like, it's just a desert out there now compared to what it used to be in this game back when everything was pre-made. It's like, bro, like, okay, let me put it to you like this, okay? We can sit here and talk about this and argue about this and give our opinions on this whole thing about this game, but all you got to do is look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. When it all comes down to it, at the end of the day, numbers do not lie. If a road was so needed in this game, quote unquote, oh my God, we got to have it. It's going to be so good for the game. Oh my God, all that stuff we were doing before, it was so one-lined. Oh my God, you just lasered in one line. It sucked. The game sucked before. Don't you at least think you would have more people racing now than you did before a road? Or at least, I don't know, the same amount of people playing the game now than you did before a road? You don't even have the same amount of people. You've lost people. RF, you've literally lost people. You can barely even fill up the 450 gates. The worst Anaheim 1 RF 450 signups I have ever seen in this game in 2020. Literally the worst signups I've ever seen in the history of me playing this game, pro racing, from all the way back in 2015. It's the worst signups I've ever seen for an Anaheim 1. And then the last half of the 2020 Supercross series this year, they literally can barely even fill up a gate in the 450 Pro class. North American 450 RF Pro class. They can barely fill up the gates. They barely got 40 people signing up. And if it wasn't for them letting the cheaters back in and all the RF officials participating in their own races, there would have already been multiple rounds that they didn't even have 40 people signing up in the 450 class. So either way, I mean, how much more can I say? The developer himself, I mean, how much more does it take? Like, developer of himself comes out and says it. The game's not made for it. It was never made for it. It's almost impossible to develop. He would rather work on something that's actually going to advance the game. It's just like, bro, people don't understand the limitations of this game. That's the problem. They don't get it. They just don't understand it. But it's just like, man, it would be one thing if you went from a totally flat track, right, or whatever, or like some small pre-made ruts or whatever, and then after you rode a race with the road on, it built all of these ruts and roughness like what you get with these 17 pre-made national tracks. It would be one thing if it could do that. If it could do that, I'd be all in. I'd be like, hell yeah. But that's the thing. It can't even make what you had before. It can't even get close to making that. It can't even develop anything close to that. Like, it ain't even close. Erode doesn't make roughness in this game, real braking bumps in this game. I don't know why people are getting that idea in their head. If you don't put some kind of pre-made roughness, braking bumps, you're literally going to have none with the road in this game. Literally none. We saw that with the highway flat tracking last year, the first 3 or 4 outdoor national tracks. There was just no roughness. There's no skill anymore. They've taken all that away. Oh, except the last 3 laps of the freaking 450 moto. Then there's a little bit of skill gap. Why don't you just have the skill gap from the first lap, you idiots? Why don't you just have the perfectly built track from the first lap? Why do you go through all this trouble? It's like they're going through all this trouble to make something that's already made in the game. It's so confusing. It's like, why would you sit there and try to do all these little Erode testing settings? Let's hope it does this. Let's put it on this setting just to try to get it to make something even remotely close to what you already had with pre-made. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And the only defense they have, all these Erode fanboys on MX Simulator, the only defense they can possibly have for it is the track's actually changing over time, so it actually forces you to take different lines. That is the biggest hock of baloney I've ever fucking heard in my life, dog. Erode does not make multiple lines. I don't know why people say that, dog. First of all, you start off with no lines to begin with, okay? In outdoors last year at the start, there was no lines, so it just made lines. A line, let me correct, it made one line that everybody took, okay? It wasn't making multiple lines. You just went from flat to a rut in the corner. But it's not like it's making all these little multiple lines. Let me just go over here. Let me jump in this rut. Oh my God, let me go over to that rut. It literally makes one giant motocross berm corner on the supercross tracks. Everybody hits the exact same line, and maybe on the last 2 laps of a 20-minute main event, you might have to get out of the main line on the last 2 or 3 laps. Dog, that's not changing lines. Like, I don't know why people get that sort of confusion, like, oh my God, it's just giving us all these extra line options, and now everybody's hitting all these different lines. It might change a line, but it's not giving you multiple line options. It's not making more line options. I don't know why people act like that. Erode is not doing that in MX Simulator at all. I would argue it's almost more one-lined with Erode than without Erode, because you're so forced into that one line that everybody's going into that if you don't take it, there's no other option. It's just flat everywhere else. If you don't take that one rut, you're just screwed. Like, at least with pre-made, if you're coming up on somebody and you're trying to pass them, there's multiple options. You have a big berm on the outside, you got a big rut on the inside, you got a middle rut, you've got all different kinds of stuff, man. Like, even with just pre-made and no Erode, people hit different lines. You come into corners at different speeds. You hit different stuff. Like, I just don't understand why people act like this was so terrible, yet this was the heyday of the game. This was the best time of the game. So many people played this game back then. Now it's just this ghost town. It's just this barely fill up a gate. What are they going to do this year with the road? Oh, we've already wasted 2 years beta testing this shit. Now we realize the developer is telling us he's pretty much done developing it. It's not going to be able to really progress much more than it is right now. What Erode is right now in MX Simulator is not going to be able to progress anymore. But yet you people still hold on to that idea in your head. It's insane to me. Like, how much more do you need than the developer himself coming and telling it to you? Like, how much more do you need? I don't understand it. You got 4 ruts in this corner. It don't matter what track you get on. I don't give a shit if you're playing Reflex, if you're playing MX Simulator, if you're playing iRacing. I don't give a crap what you're playing. If you ride enough laps on a track and you are sweaty enough in a game, you're going to be laser lining on the track. That's just how it works. All these idiots acting like, oh my God, you just hit the same line all the time. That's why we need Erode in the game. Dog, you're going to laser line whether or not you got Erode, whether you got pre-made, whether you're on flat track and shit. You're going to find a way to laser line. That's what happens when you get a professional, community in a game that takes the game super serious. You're going to hit laser lines. Like, that's my biggest argument with the whole thing is with terrain deformation in this game, the Erode in this game, it's almost like it forces you even more into that one line because you only have the lines that's been built from the terrain deformation. You don't have these other pre-made ruts. Erode will never be able to make as good of ruts as what pre-made makes in this game. Ever. Never. Or pre-made roughness in this game. Here we are 2.5 years into the cycle of the Erode in this game, and it's maybe 5% better than what it was at the beginning. Maybe 5% of an improvement over the past 3 years of Erode in this game. It has not changed that much. I don't know why some of you idiots act like it's, oh my God, just been getting better and better and better, and it's just going to keep getting better. Dog, you're fooling yourself. You're living in a fairy tale. And how much more proof do you need than the freaking developer himself coming out and saying all that? How much more proof do you need? I don't know what else I can tell you. Like, it's just dragging this game down, Doug. Like, it's just sad what it's done, man. And then it creates this endless revolving cycle of, oh, well, now, okay, so in 2019 outdoors, they were on basically completely flat, no pre-made. So now it's like, okay, what if you do a little more pre-made and a little less erode? Then what? Oh, well, wouldn't it be better if you did even more pre-made and a little less erode? Oh, and then you're to the point where you're a full pre-made track like this, and then people think, oh, well, let's do a little bit of erode on top of that. It's like, dog, you're going in circles, trying to figure out a way to make a terrain deformation system in a game that was not made for it at all. Trying to develop an erode system for a engine that's really too old for it. You understand? You keep just going in this loop of trying to develop something that the game wasn't even made for. Like, I just hope some of you dudes realize that. You're never going to find what you're looking for in this current engine of MX Simulator. There's no cushion to the dirt. Period. That's it. That's all there really is to it. You're digging in concrete. Like, it doesn't matter if you're on a sand track. Doesn't matter if you're on a hard pack track. Doesn't matter if you're on a normal dirt washoe track. You're still digging into concrete. There is no cushion to the dirt. There will never be cushion to the dirt. It's never going to happen. That's the thing. People aren't getting it. This game, JLV is not going to go in there and put something so drastic that changes the entire engine of the game to the point to where you can't even go back to older tracks. You can't even ride on older tracks. He's not going to do something like that that's just going to wipe out the whole entire past content of the game. And I'm telling you right now, if you want that true terrain deformation in MX Simulator with cushion to the dirt, proper made ruts, all that kind of stuff, you're going to have a total revamp. I mean, a total revamp to the entire game engine and system of the game and the way it processes terrain in the game. You're going to have an entire 100% makeover of the game. And JLV is not going to do that because you're going to ruin all the old content of the game. Like I said from the very beginning, if you want to do all this on an MX Simulator 2, be my guest. But don't ruin the greatest arcade motocross game of all time because you want to try to progress it too quickly. Don't do that. Why are you doing that? Like, good Lord, why was this shoved down everybody's throat? That's what I'm more mad about than anything when it comes to this. A lot of you dudes don't even remember how this happened because you just started pro racing last year or this year. You don't even understand how it happened from 17 to 18. They literally went 0 to 100 real quick. Whole squad on that real shit, like instantly, dog. We went from pre-made to literal enduro cross at the start of 2018 Supercross. And it was that way pretty much through that whole first Erode Supercross year. It was literally enduro cross. They had it 10 times too high in Supercross. It wasn't, no, they didn't just ease it into the game, ease it into the community. Let's just do a little bit of light erode and ease it in. They literally crammed, shoved it, forced it. 100% erode. You're going to get it and you're going to like it. Here it is. And that was a lot of Checkers doings, Chris Riesenberg, right? Here it is. I don't care what you say about it. Don't complain about it. You're just complaining about the community. Don't complain on the forums about what we're doing. We know what we're doing. MX Simulator is going to die without it. We're going to keep doing this. Oh my God. Has it really worked for you? Huh?